Hey, this is Rhonda. I am your life and business optimizer, and I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me and my guest today for the I Am Patent Summit. You were born for greatness. You were born to succeed. You were born for such a time as this. You were created to dominate and to be fruitful in this world. And I created I Am Patent for just that purpose, to help you to understand that you have the exclusive right to control you. You have the exclusive right to be powerful, to be authentic, to be tenacious, to be electrifying, to be necessary, and to be the trendsetter. Welcome to our summit. I have the honor and the pleasure today to have a very good personal friend of mine, phenomenal lady, Miss Tiffany Mayfield. Tiffany is a talented personal empowerment coach. She's a speaker, she's an author, she's a business owner, and she helped women take charge of their lives in order to become who and what they are to become. She's passionate about many things. Tiffany is purposeful, she's fearless, she's motivated, and she links all that together as she helped women to make the change and the shift in their lives. Tiffany has developed a new program called Women Evolved or Women Evolution, where it helps women to take ownership of their careers by teaching them the tangible skills to be confident, engaged, and equipped. The WE program creates innovative and scalable training solutions for women leaderships and development. In partnership with some of the country's top female leaders, Tiffany helped women understand and to master the 6 critical skills essential to taking ownership of self. Owning your purpose, owning your voice, owning your emotions, owning your feedback, owning your conversation, and owning your evolution. Welcome to I Am Patent Summit, my friend, business owner, phenomenal woman, Miss Tiffany Mayfield.
Thank you, Rhonda. I'm so excited to be here. This is an excellent platform, and I am very proud and honored to be here with you tonight. How's it going? I'm ready to get it going.
It's going great, Tiffany. Listen, hey, I am so excited. And first of all, let me say thank you, because I know that along with everything that you do online, along with what you do with motivating women, you also work with young people. You have a brick and mortar business on top of that. So I understand just how busy you are, and the fact that you will honor me, your friend, and be part of this movement. I am just grateful for it. So first of all, let me just extend that thank you to you. I want to start off with just giving it to you, and then you go in and just talk a little bit about your brand. Talk about I Am Authentic. It's your topic for this segment of this movement. And I want you to talk about what authentic means to you and how it has showed up in your walk on your journey.
Great, thank you. I am very proud of my brand. Right now, my brand is actually in a rebranding stage. So I'm expecting a launch sometime in April, probably close to the end of April, I'm thinking, because tax season is till the 15th or 16th this year. So I'm extremely busy, as you stated. I'm always getting certifications for something, but it's always to better everyone, to increase the knowledge that we do not have. My brand will take a huge twist and a big change because of some things I've learned through my life insurance business. So I'm always pushing and improving myself, and mainly I do it for our society, our people, our community, because we need to know. We need to know what's out there as entrepreneurs, how we can make it, and what we're going to do. And a lot of that has everything to do with being authentic. Earlier, I was writing down what authentic means to me. And being authentic is a spiritual sense as expressed directly from the source through the soul. It is the raw, naked, unhindered expression of beingness of the soul. Authenticity is a quality of being That's why we say being authentic, not doing authentic. So I was like so excited today, and I knew that this was coming up, and I was like, wait a minute, didn't I tell Rhonda powerful? Then I changed it to authentic. So I was like, I know I did authentic. So I'm going in with authentic, and if she hits me with powerful, I'm just going to have to switch it up. But I'm excited about being authentic, because if I wasn't, I could not go into the realm of business that I'm going into right now. And working with teens, oh man, it's a totally different world. It's so, you have to be authentic because they know when you're not. They can tell you, oh, Miss Tiffany, that lady is faking. Why don't she take some of your classes? Put her in something you're doing, because they can tell. They can tell when you're putting on a front. But I had to learn to be authentic through a lot of what I was going through, especially the ending of a relationship. And I had to learn how to tell people the truth about it, because initially I was totally embarrassed, because at the time I thought it was my turn. So I didn't want people to know, but then I had to let them know, because I knew there was a blessing in my lesson. And one of the blessings was being authentic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I was sitting and I was just thinking, you know, a lot of time we as women, particularly, we get caught up in relationships. We get caught up in someone else's identity. We get caught up in that man that we're with. We get caught up in our identity. It's that title on that job. And we lose ourselves. We lose who we are. And we recognize it, but we don't make a move, you know?
Exactly.
And then years later, as time goes on, what happens is our mindset shifts, and then we become angry, we become bitter, we become depressed, and it just goes on, and it just has this ripple effect that's nothing positive, nothing encouraging whatsoever. And so I think that's part of identifying who you are, because I believe that if you know who you are and you're authentic to you, then someone else is not going to come in and control you, and you don't get so caught up in everybody else's storm so quickly. So that was a great point that you made.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'll be talking about tonight, when we become caught in the over identity or over identified of those names, those tags. The I am that we put out as coaches is totally different than the I am of negativity that we put in our brains. And that those are things that we need to unlearn. And I'm going to be talking about that today. And I know I'm on point now because you brought it up. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you just take it away and go ahead and teach us on authentic.
Okay. I want to get started with a quick little story about when I went through finding out who I was. And the reason I had to find out, because of the relationship ending. I could go over and over about, you know, what happened, but the most important thing I got out of it was finding who God created me to be. And I thank God for the lesson from the experience, because I wouldn't be where I am today if I had not experienced it. If I had not gone through that turmoil, if I had not gone through that storm. And it was all about me. And it was never about the person I was pointing the finger at. It was all about me. And God will get you by yourself and get you to that place where you have to figure out who you are in front of God. Not man, but God. So I went through that phase where I was laying on my sofa, depressed, no one knowing what I was doing. I'm walking out the door every single day, and looking like I'm having this perfect life, and come home, turn all the lights off, lay on the sofa, and just cry myself to the next day. Literally, no sleeping, no eating, just there. And then one day I just said, you know what? I feel myself going into a depression. God, that's not where you want me to be. And I know too many people who have been there and they don't come back. That's a bad place to be. So I started praying and I started listening. Instead of begging God to change the situation, I started listening to what he was telling me. So I'm going to give you 3 points about how that affected me and affected my authenticity. I had to stop fighting. Number 1 is stop fighting the flow, because nothing else could happen besides what happened. Nothing else. It had to happen in order for me to unbecome that woman that the world, tags, society, names, jobs, parents gave me, and become who God created me to be. So I had to learn to stop fighting against the flow of things. And the things I'm going to tell you about tonight may sound a little different, but the points I'm making will make a lot of sense. And in the flow, stop going against the flow is the illusion of I am that, meaning I am not worthy. I am not the one to be loved. I am not good enough. Those negative things that I was pouring into my own mind, not anyone else, it was holding me captive. So it holds us captive in prisons of our own making. In the struggle of defining ourselves as individuals, we often paint ourselves into lonely and sometimes dangerous corners. And that's where I was, sitting in this house, no one knowing. The only way I could go in my bedroom was even to take a shower and to get dressed. I couldn't even look at the bed. I couldn't look. It was just so much pain there. And I was painting myself into that corner. He hadn't done it. He was gone. I just didn't want to accept it. And acceptance is huge in authenticity. And I also learned as I was growing that whether it's gender, sexual orientation, politics, religions, race, although we may belong to a particular group, it is the over identification with that group that separates us from the next individuals. We become stunted in our growth. We become so stunted that we cling to these outwardly labels, because I was clinging to, I'm 40, whatever I was, 43, 44, 45. I should be married. I should be this. I see that I am. What happens? I'm feeding myself all of that negativity. And I had to get up out of that and say, I am worthy. I am patented. I am authentic. And how do I get there? Let me start with me by pulling these layers away. Because you know what? There were some things he did say that I knew were true about me. But you know what? My representative kept saying, that ain't true. Girl, you not this. You this, you're that.
And we tell ourselves some lies, don't we?
Yes. And I'm always the person that would tell people the biggest lie we tell is the one we tell ourselves. And I'm sitting here lying to myself. So I was like, wait, let me think about that. Let me go back to that other relationship or that one before that. What happened? And I had to say, okay, well, who am I in my religion? Because you know what? My church couldn't do it for me. My prayer partners couldn't do it for me. Nobody could reach me because I couldn't find me. I didn't know who I was. And I had to break those layers. I had to break those chains of being super mom, super students because I was in school. Had to break the chains of being the super employee. I had to break the chains of being super daughter, super grand. I took care of everyone except me. And in that, you don't know who you are.
Right.
Because
Totally
I became those like.
Yeah, you became everybody. Yeah.
I became that super mom, the super aunt, the super cousin, super friend. Everybody came to me. Now my phone hardly ever rings because I took that cape off. I took that S off my chest and gave it back. I said, you know what? It's great being super, but I would rather be substantial than super all the time. There's nothing wrong with being super, but when I'm giving all of myself away, at the end of the road, I was standing there alone and in the dark. So I was fighting against that flow, and I was like, wait a minute. God has something better for me, and I know better. And that's how I met you, April, the whole group, because I was begging for that help. And in my over-identification, we become, like I was explaining, the roles. This is the part two. Number two is the over-identification of our roles. We always have to be that mom, especially single mothers. And I speak to single mothers about this all the time. And I tell them, we raise our kids because a lot of times in our own guilt. We allow that guilt to hold us hostage, to keep us in a prison of, because the dad isn't here, I'm not good enough. But I don't want my kids to know I don't believe that I'm good enough. So we overdo everything. We overcompensate. I was working 2 full-time jobs at one time. I didn't have to do that. I was working 12, 16-hour days all of my kids' life because I refused to be on assistance from the state. I didn't get child support. So I wanted to be so great, but I was over identifying who I was as a mother and as a woman because of those labels as a parent. And even in the relationship, I over identified being in a relationship, being a spouse, being a girlfriend. I was always, okay, I'll do it. I'll take care of that. Are you okay? Let me always, it was almost as if I was recreating a man's life for him, and he was supposed to be the leader. So I over-identified with so much. Going on a job, working 12 or 16-hour days. I'm over-identifying in my position. And to become authentic, I had to remove all of those flaws, all of those chains, because I had to figure out what is my purpose. Because one thing I kept telling God, it's not me missing you, because usually people will say, oh, you need God. No, I have that. What I needed was me. And I couldn't get to me for the layers. All of that junk that was in there, that society says you have to be, or what your parents say you better be, or what college says you have to become, and what the church says you should be, and how you should carry yourself. I didn't know who I should be, to tell the truth, until I was 43 years old, because I had been everything in the identities that the world said. It wasn't about what God said. I just kept going. And I was a person that didn't complain. So people would say, you never complain. But it was killing me on the inside. It was eating me alive. How am I going to rob Peter and pay Paul, and I got Mary in the trunk? Because I didn't know what to do. But I kept doing it and kept not knowing, without getting that mentorship. My mom worked just as hard. So I was like, well, she did it. She drove 60 miles to work. Who am I? I'm younger than she is. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't say, you don't have to do that. And she was married. My stepdad was great, but she was really the rib, and I didn't understand that. I just thought she worked hard. She just worked hard, but her working was compensating if there was an issue. But as I was seeing it in that younger mind, not understanding without that wisdom that I have now, I just thought, oh, well, that's what you do. You work those hours. You work that far. But Houston is a mess now, and the traffic is ridiculous. So you're stressed before you get to work. So I over-identified, and I had to learn how to let that go. I don't have to be super. My kids, it's okay for my kids to know that that didn't work out, or I don't know what to do. And in like over-identifying as parents, we do this all the time. We hide so much from the kids, and they don't know how to get out of an issue. That's why so many of them come back and they keep calling for money. They don't know because they didn't see us struggle. We didn't teach them that. And so I over-identified as a parent. It was just so much. And so being authentic, I had to let all of that go. I was like, I learned that no means no. And that's it. No, I don't have to explain it. That being selfless is not being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I was everybody called me. Oh, I need this, I need that, I need this. Can you pick me up? Can you take me? I broke my back for people, and I didn't know how to break my back for me because I had nothing left. I was just beat down. Mm-hmm. And I teach women that you don't have to be. We're great leaders, but guess who's supposed to lead us? The man. So now that I'm getting that wisdom, last night I stayed up almost for 4 hours listening to Dr. Monroe about just life in general, because I knew this was coming up, and I was like, I really want to be filled. I really want to be filled, and I want to be able to be so authentic and come through authentic that I need to be able to hear what another leader is saying, what another leader is directing and guiding us to. And I just think that if we let go a little bit at a time, just say no. It's okay to be by yourself, but don't get stuck being by yourself. It's definitely okay. We are definitely all divine beings. We're all created from the same divine being. I am that in the negative sense of I am not. I can't even imagine doing that. Those things hold us back, and it hampers us from being the best that we can be and finding ourselves. I was saying earlier that I was ashamed of the relationship ending because I was always I'm still the person. I love love. I love to see people in love, getting married, doing their thing. And I was pushing that. So now when everyone's seeing me in this great relationship, they were so happy for me, and I didn't want to disappoint them. But I had to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. It's not what it appears to be. And people thought that, well, the money, that, man, money does not move me. It's not it. So being authentic, I had to tell the truth because I wanted another woman to know it's okay. Mm-hmm. Because when we had to end the relationship, I held on to this. I let this put me in prison over identifying that we were together, that I love this person for 30 years. I
Mm.
over-identified with that so long. That was like a trap. I didn't even know. I'm in quicksand. So when you're moving away from those things and saying it's okay, and I speak to a lot of women and I say this, your vision is so hard to let go because you've decided in your mind, this is how it's going to be. You have your plan together. But if you and your partner don't have that plan together, and you don't have the same vision, you're in
Mm-hmm.
trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I've done, I love to let people know about authenticity, is to just breathe. Take time alone. Number 3, please take some time to be alone. Houston is huge. It may take you an hour to 2 hours to get anywhere. And that means 7 miles. It just, the traffic is ridiculous. But in that time, you have to take time for yourself and remove those negative things and deal with them. A lot of times we hold so much pain inside, we don't let it go. We refuse to cry. We refuse to break.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, it's going to eat you alive. It's going to come out one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And it may come out through your health issues. My sister passed going on 9 years now. And my mom stayed in the bed 7 years. And I thank God she's finally got up and gone to work. Because not only was she depressed behind my sister, she was depressed behind everybody passed. My dad, my stepdad, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my sister, all at the same time, around the same time, about the same year. And my mom broke. It completely broke her. And she was angry. She's one of those people who deals with stress angrily, in anger.
Mm-hmm.
Because she is totally over identifying. And when she got up and said, "This isn't me," all I could say was thank you. Because it isn't her. She gave up.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she says, now I am living. I was not born to lay in this bed. And she's living and she's working again. And she's excited about life because she's out there meeting people. But that time by herself really helped her remove a lot of the layers, because pain is usually something that happened before this pain, because we get trapped in it. It traps us. It holds us hostage. It becomes, pain gets so good you think it's normal. You're
Yes,
just like,
that's so true. That is so true. So
I've
many
been living
people.
like this forever.
Yes, yes, that's so true. That's so true. So as we begin to wrap this up, Tiffany, what is something that you would share with our listeners about the one thing about being authentic? What's the one thing about being your authentic self?
The one thing is finding your peace.
Mm.
You don't have peace, you cannot be authentic. No one has permission. And I want you to repeat this. I want you to say this because I mean it when I say it. No one has permission to mess over me, destroy me, talk down to me, go against me, because I don't have permission to do it to myself.
That's good. That's good.
I tell myself that every day, because that takes a lot of anger away. You look at things that didn't work out and it's okay. But when you know that you know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and those you don't even have to put up boundaries. You don't have to put up brick walls. You do not have permission to hurt me. You do not have permission to destroy me. You do not, you take your power back. And that
Awesome.
that is where you'll find your authenticity. I meditate, I pray. I meditate the same time every day. And that's in prayer. I just get quiet and still and listen to what God says, not what the world says, but what God says. And I'm not a preacher or anything like that, but that spirituality, that rawness, that is your authentic self. That is where you are. You're still inside of there. You're somewhere in there. And I will welcome anyone. Go to my website. Go to tiffanymayfield.com and go to the opt-in. And I will send you a copy of the book, Fabulous New Life, and the book that we wrote together. And there are many, many stories, including mine, that will help you become your authentic self. It will strip you of all those things that you're still holding on to. People are mad about being in the second grade and somebody pushed them. They are still holding on to that 40 years later. You have to let that go.
Ain't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? But you know what? You said one thing about, and that's so true. You know, part of being your authentic self is that your peace belongs to you.
It belongs
and
to you.
You can't allow other people to rob that from you. You know, if you're going into a house every day, or you're going into a job every day, and you're overwhelmed by it, and you're walking in with a bad attitude, and you're like, oh my gosh, here we go again, then you are not being authentic to yourself. You're not being true to yourself.
Exactly.
Where you need to make a decision. I'm not saying go leave your job. Don't misunderstand me, because you got bills to pay, but have a plan.
Exactly.
Okay. And if there's a situation that you can work through and you can change it. But that peace is everything. Peace is how you showing up for other people.
Exactly.
That peace is how you showing up for yourself. That peace
how you showing up for yourself.
Everything. So so Tiffany Mayfield, thank you so much for gracing us today with all that knowledge. And it was just juicy. It was so many nuggets. And I just want to say, listen, if you want to connect with Tiffany, the Facebook group is up. Join the Facebook group. I am P.A.T.E.N.T with a D. I-am-P-A-T-E-N-T-D. Join the group. All the speakers are going to be in the group, so you can connect with them. You can continue on the conversation. So make sure you go ahead and join the Facebook group there. We would love to have you. We want to keep this movement going. It is so important in our times today, and as things are going on in our time right now today. I mean, this big political race is a hot mess.
Exactly.
We need to show up. We need to understand what our power is and walk in it. We need to understand who we are authentically and walk in it. We need to be tenacious. That means being determined. We need to be electrifying. When you come across me, you meet an experience. I am going to be an experience for you, because I am going to be electrifying. I understand that I am necessary. I am necessary for me, and I am necessary for you. And I also understand that I am not in competition with anyone. I'm not trying to compete with anyone. I am the trendsetter for myself and everyone who's in my scope. You understand what I'm saying? I don't need to copy anything, but I also recognize my peace. And as Tiffany's saying, whether it's prayer, meditation, you get up in the morning time and you just playing soft music, you're reading something inspirational or whatever, find your peace, and do not allow anyone to rob that from you, because you can't show up as you if you don't have that peace. So this is Rhonda A.Y. I am your life and business optimizer. Tiffany Mayfield, thank you so much. Make sure you connect with Tiffany. Go to her website, www.tiffanymayfield.com. You connect with her on Facebook at Tiffany Mayfield, and be authentic. We will see you online.